I am coming to you live here from Minneapolis, Minnesota, brought to you by technology. We're going to walk through a presentation today. I'd like to give you a little bit of an introduction to Vanco, who we are, really what the challenges we're facing today, and how Vanco can help. We're going to breeze through some of the eGiving products and what those look like at a very high level, both what the immediate need is today with the social distancing and the unique challenges that the church is facing, but also what that could look like, these tools for you longer term. The bulk of the presentation will be going through that getting started piece. I'll walk through our application process for you and pricing and details on what it will take to get you quickly started and up and running. And then during the Q&A section, if you want to see any of the products more in depth, we can take additional time to go through some of those demonstrations. Does that sound good?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Here we go. Ooh. So Vanco, we are at our core a faith-based payment processor. We are currently serving over 22,000 congregations, and our mission is to make it easy for your members to give and to really serve those who are serving their communities. We understand now that services have been disrupted, most likely because of social distancing, but we are here for you to help you through that. But please know that we've been doing this for over 20 years. Some of the names that our products have gone by, you may recognize Simply Giving or our new software, Give Plus. So different names to the software. It is the same processing payments at our core and serving churches for, like I mentioned, over 20 years. We do have integrations with over 60 different management softwares. So if there's specific questions on if you are using a software, happy to address those offline. And ultimately, we can help you increase your donations. And we see on average 26%. And that's not magic. It's not a fluff of numbers. It really comes down to the math and what you may see with seasonality of your members and parishioners giving. We termed it the summer slump, right? As school is out of session, attendance can tend to drop off, and so do those donations. And so we'll walk through some of our products and how we can help. What I gather that you're looking for is giving. You want options for your members to give. Provide them the tools so they can manage these donations wherever they are at with a variety of ways, including their smartphone. So how can we do that? So we have at Vanco a suite of eGiving tools to help you reach your parishioners no matter where they're at. We'll walk through the different customizable web pages we have. And these are designed for donations, payments, even special event pages, as well as pledge campaigns. We can also help with that engagement piece, having the ability to give on a smartphone app or through texting. And so we'll also go into detail a little bit there. Here's what it looks like at a high level, the 5 ways we have to give: online, our free mobile app, text to give, our kiosk, and our swipe, our mobile card reader. And that's over here on the left, which will come in handy when we return to gathering and services and you have any event payments that you would like to accept a debit card or a credit card for those payments. So our online donations and payment pages can be as generic or complex as you'd like. You are in control of customizing the header, the colors, how many funds you'd like visible. You can accept donations or payments for one time or recurring, and that's setting it up on a website. So Vanco does all of the heavy lifting, providing you with a shell, and you can easily manage what that page looks like in your My Vanco Service Center as far as customizing the colors and the funds that are listed. A few different examples. We have an event sponsorship example. So here you can set up for a specific event, customize the ticket amount, any custom fields that you'd like to see. There's a lot going on this page, but just know for down the road, I know the immediate need is social distancing and needing a tool and a solution for today. But in the future, when we have those events, this is a great option for you, all included with our plans. Additionally, we have faith formation example, registration here. You can collect information, whether it's food allergies, t-shirt sizes. All of these pages are extremely customizable, and each page does have a customizable header that you can include an image, a banner of your choosing, and a pledge page example. Our pledge page examples, there's many different ways to set this up. It can calculate out that annual pledge, divided out quarterly, monthly, weekly for you. Again, this is a online giving page or pledge example. Our mobile app is called Give Plus Mobile. You can search in the App Store or in Android Google Play for Give Plus Church. And I want to highlight this as really the easiest, quickest way for your church or your parish to get up and running with online giving. As soon as Vanco has completed your application review and turned on your services, you have access to this app. It's free to download for users. You simply find your parish and you elect your donation amount. There's pre-selected amounts here that are pre-populated. Otherwise, the donor can easily type in a donation amount of their choosing. Here is an example of a receipt. So yes, the donor will receive confirmation of their donation when they use the mobile app. That comes in via their email. You see there's a confirmation number, and they can see that they had donated $5 here. And this is real time for them. Additionally, Give Plus Text is an option. This is an add-on option. We'll provide you a local area code 10-digit phone number. You can see in the screen here, they've saved that phone number as My Church Give Plus. So your parishioners would save your church number as a contact and easily text the dollar amount to make a donation either one time or recurring. We do have options for different funding within the texting as well. And again, you do receive an email receipt real time for every time that donation or payment is processed. I know I'm going quickly through these. We'll spend the bulk going through how we get set up, but if there are additional questions towards the end, I'm happy to circle back and do a real-time demonstration of these products. So common questions that we see is, well, that's great. That's the donors facing our parishioners. They can easily place a donation, but what does that look like for the administrator, for the parish? So Vanco is going to provide you with detailed reporting. This is an example of a fund detail. So here you can see the card types broken out in summary, the amount, you can see the fee breakout, as well as the total funds listed are general, building, and missions, who had donated to what fund and for how much. So we will clearly and concisely break this down for you to help with your bookkeeping. So you know who's using your products or the tools for eGiving for those donations. Additionally, we have a weekly activity report. So this is going to break down every week how these are coming through for the donations. You have ACH and credit and debit cards. You can see the ACH deposit report, who had donated via their ACH, who has donated via merchant services, the totals of those funds. And these are just standard reports that we have. We also have in Vanco a reporting center where you can customize some reports to your needs. So please don't be afraid of electronic giving and how you will manage who is giving what. Vanco will safely and securely deposit these funds into the church or parish account. And we have a robust reporting so you know who is donating what and when, okay? So that brings us to how do we get started? We're going to walk through the online application and then what does that implementation look like for your parish? We are going to process your application online. So we can get that application found on our website, or a sales rep will directly email you the link. And you can see at the top it will progress us through this application roughly 7 to 8 steps. Okay, I'll zoom in. So this is for a new account, and this is our generic application that you would find on our website. You're going to fill in your contact information. So myself, Chelsea, Funfar, your phone number, your title, the name of your organization or church, phone number, and website. Important, if your website includes HTTP, this doesn't have a red asterisk, so you can choose to not include that if you don't have a website. Then it's going to ask our organization type. We all are a nonprofit, and our industry most likely is church, but you can see the different options in the dropdown. Here is a question on management software. Do you currently use any of the following management software? These are likely membership software or accounting software. There's a long list. If you don't see your software, don't be alarmed. You can just select none or blank. Of important note, if you are using an ACST software, we would have a separate application for you. So we just recommend that you reach out to Vanco or to ACS directly to get that correct application. All other softwares can proceed with our standard applications. Just ACS, we ask that you reach out to get the correct application, and it would have ACS co-branding at the top for our ACS Technologies clients. Okay, so at the bottom here, you can see on the right, it says save. I recommend saving at every page. Here, it'll provide you a link for this unique application that you can get back into it. And also you can click to send you that link. Very important if, as we get forward, you realize that you don't have all of the documents handy. Our second page is going to be some more information on our plans. Our start plan is likely where we recommend most parishes to start. Sustain plan is for higher volume between processing donations of 250,000 to 500,000. So unless you have processed prior, we would recommend you starting here. So you select the start plan, and then we're going to go to next. To call out here on our fee structure. So our start plan is for ACH, for e-check processing, 1% per transaction, and 45 cents per transaction. So it's going to be a percentage of the donation and that 45-cent flat fee. Credit and debit card processing is 2.75% and then 45 cents a transaction for Visa, MasterCard, and Discover. American Express is going to process at 3.5. Our eGiving tools do allow for your parishioners and guests to donate an additional amount to help cover these fees. We do blend all card types into a low flat rate for you. So you could see on the reporting, there isn't a dozen different card types on those rates. It makes it very easy for your administration to understand who has donated what and what exactly are your fees. It doesn't cost anything to get set up. There is a $10 per month monthly fee or a monthly fee for the first 12 months. And then there's a non-compliance fee. So this is asterisk. Non-compliance, there is an annual survey for PCI.
What happened?
Sorry, where did I lose you?
You just said there's an annual compliance fee for PCI. That was the last I heard.
Okay, so there's an annual survey. Sorry about the connectivity issues. We'll talk more in depth on the PCI survey, but just know getting started, you will not have monthly fees, but that's a breakdown in the explanation of the fees there. Should we pause for any questions on fees or keep going?
We do have one hand raised.
take a question. It's from Art Lobdell. Art,
Yeah.
I will unmute you.
Thanks, Steve.
Yes, I think Phyllis may have answered it in chat, but the others might be beneficial to hear it. I was asking if there was a way to have funds dedicated to particular purposes coming in, and how that might happen.
Yes. You can have as many funds as you'd like, and you can set those up in the My Vanco Service Center, and that's going to be your online portal once your account is live and set up. And so we're walking through the application piece, and then as we go through our onboarding and what that looks like for you, it's easy to set up funds to have dedicated donation amounts, and there's no limit to the amount of funds that you can have.
So I see a couple of other questions that popped up on the chat. Somebody wanted Bruce Weiss wanted clarification on what PCI is, and we will talk about that a little bit later on, Bruce. So I think that we should probably hold off on that. And then Kirk Bonamici asked, do ACS users get different pricing? Do you want to tackle that one, Chelsea?
Yes. For ACS users, we do have a different pricing structure, in part due to our partnership with them. And so we can provide that pricing structure and application to those ACS clients.
Great, thanks. And so Kirk, I think that takes care of your question, as well as one that came through from Father Richard Reed. And then there was one other question about the monthly fee. Is there a waiver for the first year? And I'm pretty sure the answer to that question is no, but I think I did see something about, you know, yeah, there you go. So you want to handle that one?
Yes. So we are offering promotional pricing for 12 months of no monthly fee on our start plan, and then 3 months of no monthly fee on the sustain plan. And so what our current application will see that we don't have a promo code field. And so I'm working to manually apply those promotions for the parishes that are applying with us. So if you do apply and want to send me a note for that promotion, I'm going through and tracking the best that we can. But if for any reason you are concerned about not getting that promotion, just reach out. We'll have our contact information on the last slide. But that is valid for through the end of April. You don't have to. Mm-hmm.
Yep, that's great. I was remembering the 3 months. I had forgotten about the 12 months. So that's really great news. And again, you know, so that's in place for applications that come in through the end of April. There's one other question about, is there a way to show the depositor the amount of the fee that will be deducted and give the option to increase the donation to cover the fee? Chels?
Yes. So I'm going to go to our our demo page here really quickly and show it. The system will provide the church or your parish an option on what you want to set the offset fee at. So this is an example donation page. They have funds set up. I'm going to do Sunday giving for $100 one time, and we'll have that go out on Friday. And I'm going to continue here. You can see if it'll let me. Option to give an additional 3%. So with our fees, you can, as a parish, set that offset fee anywhere from 1% to 3.5%. It will not calculate exactly the fees, but you can see here when I check this box, I'm then donating $103 to help offset that processing fee. Does that help answer the question?
I think so. Let me just see here. I think we had, Oh, yeah, Mary Harvey was asking, are the detail reports provided in spreadsheet format or only in print formats?
The detailed reports are emailed out in a PDF format. You do have the ability to download them from your My Vanco Service Center in an Excel spreadsheet or a data file.
Awesome. I'm sure that'll be really helpful. There was a clarification around even when the monthly fee is for the 12 months that the monthly fee is suspended, you still have the credit card fees. Yes, I wish we could do otherwise with a credit card company, but that's beyond our control. So Gary Kayak is asking, am I correct in the fact that Vanco works alongside an existing church tracking / reporting / contribution report statement system, and so alongside that system? If yes, we may have planned to connect with a new system. How hard is that to transition to in the future? That's a complicated question.
Let me see if I'm interpreting this. So we do have integrations with many ministry partners and software. So if that's your tracking, reporting, contribution system, I'd be curious what system that is. And if they're able to, if we don't already have a pre-built integration, a good question to ask is if they would accept a data file, because we can provide you a data file to import into a software. That way you have the history of the online giving in whichever system that you are using. Most systems do allow for a data file import, and we can work with you to customize the columns in the correct order.
This is Gary, the voice, and sorry for that long.
And so I think, for now, I think we'll go ahead and let Chelsea go back to her presentation so we make sure that we can get through all the information we need to in the time that we have, and then we'll open it up to questions again a little bit later.
Thanks, Phyllis.
Okay, so I had selected, here I'll go back. Sorry to make you, if I'm making you dizzy. I selected the start plan here, and then we go to next. So you can see as we're progressing here, these are optional products. If you choose, you do not need to do anything on this page. Texting, no, it's a $5 monthly fee. So if you do want text, that's an optional add-on. For now, I'm just gonna proceed with nothing. There's a little bit more details on our hardware and our kiosks. I'm gonna go next. Here, this is the page organization where we're gonna collect the details on your parish. So we need to know your physical address, where you're located. Is this the same as your mailing address? So your physical address cannot be a PO box. So we actually need to know where you're located. And if your mailing address is different, you can enter in a different mailing address. For this example, we'll keep it the same. Processing information. Now, these details are for us to set up risk parameters on your account. Your best estimate is just fine. What is the average transaction amount or donation that you receive? It doesn't have to be 100% accurate. Again, take your best guess here, along with how many transactions or donations do you think or estimate that you'll receive. Again, we're just setting up risk parameters. If you do typically see 500 and over, 300 and over, then we'll set a higher risk parameter, or we'll know that you are anticipating more donations. Okay. Will you be processing? Same goes with the weekly attendance here. Okay, just your best guess. This question, will you be processing on behalf of another organization? Most likely not. We're setting up a relationship and a contract between Vanco and your parish, and we wouldn't want you to be processing on behalf of anyone else. Have you processed electronically before in the past 6 months? If you have, just let us know. We've noted here PayPal or Stripe, any other donation solution that you might have been using. From here, remember to save at the bottom of the page and then click next. So here is the legal information. So your legal organization name. This is what would be on file. It says with the IRS or the same that's on your employee identification number. So federal tax ID, I do understand that your parish is a nonprofit, likely does not file taxes. So we would be looking for that employee identification number. I know that the diocese may have that information for you, so we'll display their contact information. If you don't know how to get in that information readily available, please reach out. Again here, best estimate if you don't know the exact organization start date. If you know that your parish was founded in the year, fill in the blank, you can just select January 1st of that date. Are you engaged in any activity with a foreign entity? Banking information. So this is where would you like Vanco to deposit these funds? So when donations and payments come in, is it going to go to your checking account or your savings account? You'll need to enter in an account number and routing number, as well as validate that account number and routing number, okay? This part is extremely important. It's your document upload. Here you're going to need to upload a copy of a voided check and upload a copy of a bank statement. You can drag the files here, or you can click upload. Your files will come and you'll have options to, you know, grab any. I'll grab my wedding schedule. And it does need, this is a good learning experience. It needs to be a PDF, JPEG, or PNG file. Okay, so take a picture, scan in a voided check, and upload the first page of a bank statement. We're requiring 2 forms of banking confirmation to confirm that your parish, this organization, is legitimate and that we are 100% depositing these funds into the correct account. So these 2 steps are extremely important to get those files uploaded.
And then, so just to be,
I'm going to re-emphasize that.
yeah, just to be really clear, then, Chelsea, it just needs to be the first page of the bank statement.
Correct. What our underwriting department is looking for is the account information.
Right.
Okay.
Yep,
So then
that's
I'm going to go next. But you can see here I did not upload anything and it still let me go to the next page. So again, I'll reiterate that reminder to make sure you have those documents ready and uploaded, because the application will let you go forward. That's a big piece. This next, we're almost through, is our authorized signer page. Authorized signer is required to sign the agreement with Vanco. Vanco only requires 1 authorized signer, and this is the individual that has the authority on behalf of the parish to enter into an electronic agreement that we can process donations on behalf of your parish, okay? So it's going to be first name, last name, contact information, the last 4 of the Social Security. This is a requirement for federal regulations due to the Patriot Act of 2011, Section 326 right here. It requires all financial institutions to obtain, verify, and record information that identifies who opens an account or changes an account. I don't assume any fraudulent activity in accordance to the Patriot Act with these parishes, but it is a federal regulation that we do need to have a person on file with the last 4 as well as a date of birth. Okay. Then home address. Again, this is to verify that person's identity and have that on file to be in accordance with that act. From here, we'll go next. And this is the final step of our application. We're going to have on this page all of the bank disclosures and agreements. Every processor has a sponsor bank. Our sponsor acquiring bank is Wells Fargo, and so you will have the regular agreements with the credit and debit card agreement, our e-check agreement, our web pay agreement, as well as the standard Visa regulations. So all of these are hyperlinks that we can go through and click, read over, It is our standard banking requirements. I recommend you download these for your records. If you have any questions on these, let us know. Once you've read and agree, you check the box. And the last piece is a signature. The signature can be challenging with the mouse. I recommend you just do your best as you drag your mouse to sign. Okay, and then the last piece is to submit. I am going to just save my application and not click submit because it is not a legitimate application. But that is the steps. So if you have your banking information, that federal EIN number, you can breeze through this application fairly quickly. I'm going to hop back into our getting started.
While you're doing that, I'm just going to take a moment to address a couple of quick questions that I saw come up. Chuck Catton was asking, is it possible with this software to restrict transactions to only checking account transactions, like only the ACH transactions? And I guess my response to that would be, if that is really what you're going to, the only thing that you're going to be using online giving for, you're probably much better off just working with people's banks to do recurring donations, because this software is really more designed to expand your opportunities for online giving. And so if you're going to be, eventually after the 12 months paying the $10 per month fee, and dealing with that, you're probably better off just, only using this if you want to be able to accept credit cards and actually do payment processing. Would you agree with that, Chelsea?
To an extent. So we do have the ability for you to turn off credit cards. Okay. We do require that we have on file the Visa, MasterCard, Discover agreements, as well as our merchant services, credit and debit card processing agreements. If you choose to only accept ACH and that debit cards, that is completely fine. I understand not wanting parishioners to go into debt. The benefits of our tools are real time, where you're able to have those funds directly deposited. Bill pay with your church, you're still having a check mailed to you. So really the convenience is just one-sided. It's an easy fix, a toggle on and off within your My Vanco Service Center to turn on and off those credit cards. So if that's something that you're concerned about, it's an easy change. We do require all of the documents to be on file for administrative purposes. So if you did want to turn them on, we're not chasing paperwork down the road.
Right. Thank you. And I do see some of the other questions coming up. I'm making note of them so we can make sure that we get to them, but I want to go ahead and let Chelsea go back to her presentation.
Perfect. We're almost through, and then I'll take any questions. So what happens next after you've complete this application? We're looking at a 3 to 5 business day to get this application reviewed and your account set up. So our goal would be this up and running for Palm Sunday for your parishes. You're going to then receive an email that notifying you how you can log into your My Vanco Service Center, and we'll provide you with an implementation plan, resources to get the word out about the new eGiving tools that you have. We do have a robust library of resources for you to use, and our customer support is always free for you. So online at our website, you can go on today and check out some of these resources for free. It's vancopayments.com/eGiving and resources. We have pre-built content, email messaging, images that you are welcome to use and customize to inform your parishioners of these new tools that you have available. Also, with Easter coming, we have an Easter communication toolkit that you can go ahead and download for free as well. It includes PowerPoint slides, giving messages, promotional content, anything that you would need to inform and educate how to use these tools. A note on PCI. So PCI is the payment card industry. We're level 1 compliance. That's the highest level of security for processing. And it saves the church from having that burden of the work and risk involved with managing the giver's data. We do have an annual compliance survey. Since Vanco is PCI level 1 compliance, the survey at its most basic form is ensuring that you're not saving sensitive data, because you do have access to certain data within your My Vanco Service Center to ensure that you're not sharing username and passwords. You can set up as many users on your Vanco account to have access to Service Center and the tools, and also different security preferences, whether it's read-only, full access, limited access. So we do encourage anyone that is accessing the Vanco backend tool, the Service Center, that you are setting up individual usernames and passwords for each of those individuals. Again, that promotional piece, we touched on that. Contact information. I'll leave this slide up. So our sales team is willing and able, ready to take your calls. You can check out our website for more information. There's also the link to the application there. Teresa is the sales rep who had set this all up. She is available to send you a personalized application or any of the, I don't have the contact information on here for Realm, but I will follow up for Realm. We can get those individualized applications sent out as well. So if we want to let me know, I can go through the chat here on who's interested with that ACS or Realm. The Realm team is aware that we're having this session. They will be reaching out to each parish individually, as well as myself, Chelsea Funfar. If you do have questions, I'll provide my contact information. Okay, so with that, questions, anything that I didn't touch on that we'd like to go through?
One of the things, and again, so what I'm going to ask everybody to do right now is, rather than continuing to type your questions into the chat, I'd like to just clear the questions that I've seen come through the chat. And then anybody else who's got a question, please go ahead and raise your hand. And I think there was one person who was asking about how to do that, who joined us a little bit later. So to raise your hand, you would go down to the bottom of your screen, and the little pop-up menu will come up. If you click on participants, there will be another little window that will come up, and you'll see in there that you have an opportunity. One of the little buttons down at the bottom is to raise your hand. So if Steve was just sending me a message in the chat. He says, as a host, I can't raise my hand, but I have a question. So I'll get to you, Steve. But I'm going to go through the ones that I saw on the chat so far, and then we'll start taking the people who have hands raised. So we had a question about from Bruce Weiss about the frequency of remittance to the church. So once these transactions are processed, how long before the church gets the money? Are you there, Chelsea? I can't hear you.
Okay, I'm here. I feel like we're breaking up. So can you try to repeat the question one more time? I apologize. I caught part of it, but it was very robotic.
Yeah, no problem. It's the frequency of payments, remittances to the church. So once people have donated, how long does it take the money to get to the church?
2 to 3 business days. Depending, I say the 2 to 3, depending on if that 3 p.m. usually is the banking hours for that to be deposited into the account.
Okie doke. And then Bruce was also asking about customer support from Vanco to churches. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So our client support, I was going to pull up their number, and the
He said for
easiest.
churches, he said for churches and donors, actually, was what he was asking.
So that's interesting. So we can help as best we can as far as troubleshooting a donation that comes through. There is our client services team can only help so much and on different account administration levels when it comes to sensitive information. We do verify that you are an administrator on the account. I haven't had too many troubleshooting issues when it comes to using the products. We do have supplemental tools, instructional videos, and so I would need some examples on what we think would come up as far as a user question.
As far as like you mean specifically for people like donors to the churches rather than so I think what I heard you say is that as far as getting support, if you are the administrator on the account, if you are that customer contact with Vanco, whomever in your congregation that person is going to have access to the customer support, but not like individual donors would not, right?
Correct. And so our part of the implementation for our team is a train the trainer type of training for you. So we can set up different informational tools for you to show, and it is extremely easy. If you know how to send a text, you can send a donation or download a mobile app. We haven't had too many questions of that nature. I'm sure that they will come up, but feel free to reach out as they do arise. I feel that it's few and far between, but our sales team and our client service team is here to help.
And I would also say along those lines too, one of the things that Chelsea touched on really briefly during the part where she was talking about Easter was some of the promotional materials that they have that are available. That's not just for Easter. I can tell you from my experience that Vanco has a lot of materials available, sort of, almost like canned, prepackaged, like marketing stuff that is available, for us to use to put out there for, for our members and people who would donate. So, and again, that support being available to the administrator. If the administrator is fielding questions from donors, certainly the administrator could go and access the customer support. So that part of it is there also. We also had a question about the debit card fees. Are they the same as credit card fees or more like ACH level fees?
They are, credit and debit fees are the same. ACH is processed completely differently, and you can see that when you are, I'm going to pull up when you're filling in that information. I lost you can see that it's either that 16-digit credit card number or that account number and that routing number. So really that's the difference. If it's on hard plastic, it qualifies for those credit or debit card fees.
Okay. Barry Putt had a question about, is there a sample donation that we can try to set up to do a weekly giving? So I think my initial thought about that one is that once you're set up with Vanco, certainly, I do that myself whenever when I set us up. I go through and do a test transaction myself just to make sure it's working the way that I want. But you do have to get set up on Vanco first in order to be able to test it. So would you agree, Chelsea? Did I get that right?
Correct. So once your account is live, if I wanted to do, each week, instead of 100, maybe I'm doing $10 and I want that to be weekly, you can see here your parish can choose which drop downs you want to display. You don't have to show all of them, but if I do weekly and then I want that to start every Friday, The only thing that I will need to do as a donor is I'll need to create an account. That way it will save my payment method as well as my email so I can log in and monitor those. So as I'm going through, I want that weekly on Friday. When I go through here, it's just going to prompt.
Just so you know, Chelsea, you're not sharing your screen right now.
That's
Or at least I don't see it.
Let me see if I can fix that.
No, I don't see it either.
Am I sharing now?
Yes, that's better.
Okay, sorry about that.
That's okay.
So here, this drop down, and this drop down is available as well on the mobile app. You can choose either one time or weekly. So setting up a weekly or recurring donation is just as easy as a one-time gift. The donor just needs to provide an email and create a password.
Oh, there we
See,
go.
if I go to create your profile, so I would just need to provide my email, confirm my email. It might flag me that I already have an account, but we'll see. It's that easy. I know my internet is struggling with one bar, a challenge that having all of the neighbors working from home.
Yeah.
So I already have an account, but it is extremely easy for that to be set up.
Yeah, too. And then we had a question about termination. Mike Redpath says, from a presentation I viewed earlier in the week, I seem to recall that there's no fixed length for subscribing to the service. Is it correct that a church can, if it finds it's not working for them, terminate their relationship with Vanco at any time? And then Bruce Weiss also wanted to know, and are there termination fees?
So no termination fees. We don't have any long-term contracts. Our contract with you runs month to month. So we do have a monthly billing cycle. And so if you opt to cancel today, you'd be canceling for the month of March. If you were to cancel on March 1st, you would be locked in for the remainder of that month just with our billing cycle. But that's the longest commitment that you have with us.
All righty. Now I'm going to unmute Dave Snyder and lower his hand so he can ask his question.
Yes, thank you. Chelsea, when I was rector at St. Andrew's Episcopal Church in Mount Holly, we got started with Vanco, and I was assigned an online giving coach from Vanco. So if we ever had any questions at all about the process, all I had to do was give this person a call, and we got really great customer service. Is that still the case?
For the interim time being, we're scheduling training similar to how this Zoom meeting is occurring. We've had an increase and an influx in demand as worship in person is no longer an option for many parishes. And so we still have our giving team that's here to support you on a one-to-one basis. We were struggling to really serve all of the churches that needed our attention. And so part of that implementation is we'll walk through a webinar style like this, but if you have one-off questions, our client services team is available for you for emergencies 24/7, but give our team a call and they'll walk you through one-on-one. So it looks slightly different, but you will still have that one-on-one support whenever you need it.
Okay. Can I ask another question? You mentioned in your presentation the need for an employee identification number. What if a parish doesn't have an EIN number?
I think maybe I'll take that one.
Mm-hmm.
And because I would say that from my experience, our congregations have employer ID numbers that they report on their parochial reports. So if you have a question about what your EIN is, that's the first place I'd go look. And then, because most of our pretty much all of our congregations, either for banking purposes or payroll purposes already have to have one. There may be a handful of congregations, and they would have to be mission congregations that still use our diocesan employer ID number. And for those, we would have to talk, with getting an employer ID number is a very simple process. And for these purposes, it does need to be one that's different from our diocesan one, so there's not a conflict with our diocesan account. So I would say if anybody has questions about employer ID numbers, my email is right up there on the screen that's in front of you right now. Please let me know. And I'm going to go ahead and unmute Steve now, who's been waiting patiently to ask his question.
Phyllis, I haven't been that patient. Chelsea, thank you for doing this today. So at the diocese, we recently started setting up some pages around this, and I was pleased to see in your presentation that you can do a page that's dedicated to a particular fundraising event or fund, if I understand correctly. But I don't see that option at all in the admin page and being able to create a new page. Can you maybe show that? Or
I
just blew your mind.
Nope. So I just do not have, let me see if I have the bookmarked training videos. If you want to follow up offline, I do have the training videos that I can pull up that link. I just don't have that ready.
Okay.
All of our training videos are self-serve as well, and they're broken out to 1 to 2 minute segments, so we can find that particular question and pull up a quick 1 minute video clip and get that answered for you. So definitely I'll follow up.
Okay, great. Yeah, I can do it once I figure out how to start it, but I can't find the button to start it.
Great, thanks. I'm going to unmute Susan Salamak and lower her hand. Susan, you want to go ahead with your question?
Yes, I have a couple of questions. One is for a church that may not at the present time have a website. Is it possible to host a link to the Vanco application from, let's say, a Facebook page?
Yes. Anywhere that you can put a hyperlink, you can provide that giving page. So if you're emailing it out to during this time, you can put on a Facebook page, an email page. We typically recommend, if you don't have a website, you can always use that mobile app because it's free. Anyone that has a smartphone can use that very quickly and easily.
Okay. And the second one is, starting from a standing stop and moving into this, I don't think I'm going to be great at the design, the first shot. How many shots do I get?
As many as you'd like. Oftentimes, there are churches that go through rebranding and you can upload a new image or a new color. We don't limit that.
Okay, thank you.
Alrighty, thanks, Susan. I am going to now unmute Gary Kiak. And Gary, I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing your last name right. And lower your hand. And then if you want to go ahead and ask your question.
Okay, and I'll keep it short, and I apologize, that long one before. The quick question here is, in the case of a person passing or someone unable to do any changes in the system as a parishioner, I'm assuming that there would be an admin control in our church to shut that off, or if someone had indicated to back out a payment that was made because of a situation such as that.
I want to make sure I'm fully understanding your question. If there are one-off scenarios, we can work through credits. If there is a failed payment, or if Vanco attempts a transaction and it is failed, you are charged just that per transaction fee of 45 cents. The banking industry charges Vanco for attempting that transaction, is why that fee is associated to the failed. But once it fails once, we flag that on the failed transaction, and the individual donor, if it is a recurring donation, would need to go in and update their payment method to correct that. Did that answer your question?
Well, I guess the question is the control in place, because let's say a family member suddenly, the person is disabled in a point that nobody can access the login credentials. So that's what I'm saying. From the church side standpoint, the administrator on the church should be able to shut these off, right? The contributions individually, if someone were to.
Yeah, if you need to, yes, the admin should have those, and
Okay.
This is kind of a little bit more client services specific, so they might have a better answer. But if you, for example, need to reset your password as a donor, you can, similar to any other website, you do reset password, it goes to your email. If for any reason you don't have access to that email, our client services team can help.
Okay. That's fine. It happens. We've lost, parishioners, and I just want to, maybe they're larger donors, and we don't want to have things happen. Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Great. So then Steve made a comment in the chat, which thank you for that housekeeping, Steve, that people who are on the phone, I see that we don't have too many of them, but for those who are, if you want to raise your hand, you would dial *9 in order to do that. And I'm just going to go down here really quickly. And so I think we've only got 2. So for the person who is, whose phone number is a 609 area code and ends in 8050, I'm going to unmute you right now and ask if you have any questions. I guess that's a no.
No question.
Thank you. And then for the person who is the 732 area code with the last digit 6544, I'm unmuting you right now. Do you have any questions? Whoops. I guess that's no. All right, great. And then, so Chelsea, I saw that you responded in the chat about Mike Redpath's question about the studies that show eGiving resulting in a higher level of giving with a link on there. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So Vanco has now published our 3rd edition of the Churchgoer Giving Study. And this study surveyed over 1,000 churchgoers, now 3,000 cumulatively, and we've looked over the years how giving preferences have changed. We do see on average an increase in giving of 26%, but who are these e-givers or people who prefer electronic giving? What age profile demographic do we find them in, and really who is preferring these two technology tools? And what we're finding is that e-givers on average donate more than traditional givers. They're also donating a greater percentage of their salary. We find that age is no longer a barrier. So a common objection that we often hear is that, my congregation, we're a bit older. We just don't think that this would be for us, short-term or long-term. Folks just really prefer giving by check. But the research is showing that given the option, the preference is towards e-giving. So it's a free tool for you to download. Take a look at that study. It's the 3rd rendition of this. And really what we're finding is that preferences are growing and that really age is no longer a barrier.
Awesome. And the one other plug that I wanted to give as well is, because again, I just saw this come up in my own email a little while ago, is that there was, and I don't know if you can access this yourself, Chelsea, but there was a e-blast that just came out from Vanco, to me anyway, today, about about e-giving in this time of physical distancing or something like that. I forget what the title of it was, but I just thought it was a really excellent example of the kind of support materials, that you just get on a regular basis from Vanco for, different situations that we really encounter. I mean, I could try sharing my screen if you stop sharing yours, Chelsea, and see if I can. I think I had it. over, whoops, hang on a second. Yeah, I was just trying to see where I had it put up. Not finding it immediately right now, typically. Let's see. Oh, here we go. All right, let me share this if I can. All right. So. So this one here is the one that I was talking about. Everybody, I'm hoping everybody can you see that, Chelsea?
I can, yes.
Yeah, so, you know, again, typically this is the kind of stuff that I'm used to getting from Vanco, so helpful, you know, stewardship tips for a virtual ministry. So, you know, a lot of us have been thinking about, even those of us who have had online giving set up for a while, you know, have been thinking about, well, now how do we really implement this in a time where we literally can't gather? So I, for one, am looking forward to getting on the webinar tomorrow at 11:30 to try to learn a little bit more about that myself. And again, if there's any of you who think that you would like to try to get on that webinar too, just email me. You have my email address. I would be happy to forward you that, you know, that communication, so you would be able to participate too. The last two questions that I see up here, we did have one person who was asking again about somebody donating with insufficient funds in their account. What fees does Vanco charge? I think we had a slide on that earlier, didn't we, Chelsea?
Yes, it's just that per transaction fee. So depending on the plan, if that's 45 cents or I believe the 35 cents, just that one time. So we won't continue to try to process that donation. Once it's failed, we'll notify that failed transaction. There's a report that you can pull as well, and you'll see that.
And we had a question also about, you know, many of our parishioners are not computer savvy. How can we handle their giving? And so, you know, maybe that would be I know that's a common one. So maybe that would be a good one for us to end on, Chelsea. What do you think there?
There is an administrator portal where you can set up eGiving on behalf of the parishioner or your member. Way back before computers and personal PCs were in every home, we signed folks up for that eGiving or just that ACH deposit with paper forms. And so paper forms are still an option, and you do have that admin entry. But happy to provide any tools or demonstrations on how to get folks set up. A great option too, I know almost everyone knows how to send a text message. So if you have a smartphone, texting is a great option at a low fee. It is additional $5, but especially if you are exploring live streaming services, it's easy to vocalize a text message phone number or to display that on a screen versus different instructions. Texting is pretty intuitive.
And then I did see a couple of other hands pop up here. So, so Lawrence, I'm going to unmute you and lower your hand. And what would you like to ask?
Roll and bumping uglies.
I can barely hear you, Lawrence. Could you speak up?
I'm sorry. That's my husband and I are on here, so I'm Pat.
Hi, Pat.
I'm very sorry. My question is, has there been any study or any information about people feeling uncomfortable donating electronically, so then when the plate is passed in church, they're saying no? I just am always curious about what people's comfort level is with this when they are sitting in the pews.
And it depends from parish to church. My church is no longer passing a basket, which is a little bit hard to think about. And we've moved to 70% electronic giving here in the Twin Cities. However, we do provide donation cards that I've seen immense creativity here. You can laminate them, print them, where it says I give electronically, and so you are still participating with placing that in the offering.
Thank you.
Okay, Mary Harvey, I am going to unmute you and lower your hand. What's your question?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I was wondering if there's a PayPal option next to the credit card options. And the reason I ask that is because when I go to a vendor and I can't use PayPal, a lot of times I just back right out because I don't want to have to enter my credit card information again.
I hear you. We do not have that option. We will save the payment method, so if you are setting up recurring, you would only need to enter that in once.
Okay.
Which I think is pretty much the same way with PayPal. You always have to at least enter it once, you know.
Right, yeah, but I just, when I'm buying stuff online, you know, if it's not necessary, I just sort of back out because I don't want to get up and go find my credit card.
Yeah, well, the good news is you'd only have to do it once for your church, you know, and I mean,
right,
you know, and then it really is pretty easy. I was testing out Give Plus on my mobile phone with you know, with the account that I set up for the Diocese of New Jersey, and it's really, I mean, it's the process is pretty much identical to what you do with PayPal. You do it once, and then, you know, the next time you go in, you're set to go. So
right, yeah.
Thank you for that. Okay, so next I am going to unmute Arthur Hoffman, if I can here. It's not letting me do that. Steve, you want to give it a try? I can't seem to unmute him.
I just unmuted myself.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Just a correction on your announcement for the seminar on Thursday. It's 2:30 Eastern time. If you look at the bottom, it's 11:30 with Pacific time.
Oh, yeah. Okay, thank you. Thanks for picking that up.
No problem.
And then Rick Japinga, you are unmuted if you would like to ask your question.
Yeah, thank you, Ken and Jones. Actually, possibly a two-part question. Chelsea, when she was going through the forms to sign up or creating individual forgivers to sign up, from a tax reporting standpoint, personally, is there a way to either download from Vanco or to each individual parishioner, or en masse to the treasurer, who can then send them out, our quarterly and annual, basically 1099s, but they don't happen to be called 1099s, but, you know, a giving record for the year, like quarter?
Yes, we do have that reporting capabilities for you. And the great thing about setting up recurring donations is that the donor, your members, can log in at any time and in real time see their history, and they can pull that themselves. And it will show all of their eGiving history, and that's even available on the mobile app as well. And so you can provide the reporting from an administrator level, but if the individual donor is setting up recurring, they can view that real time on their smartphone.
Would it have to be recurring, or presumably even one time every week on a one-time basis, it should still create the same history? Okay. And
yes.
second,
so
sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, finish yours.
The individual donor would need to set up recurring if they want to see their profile. So if they don't create a profile, they can give as a guest, right? And so then they wouldn't have their own history to see, but you would still be able to pull that history in a report from an administration level.
Okay, well, that brings up an interesting question. I hope I've misunderstood you, that in order to participate and have your records kept, that can only be done with a recurring donation? It can't be done with continuous one-time donations?
From the individual level, the administration level, we're going to collect that card information as well as the name of the donor. So you're going to see at the very basic, the last four of the payment method and then the name. And so if they continue to use that same payment method, it's the easiest to see. If they choose to use different payment methods, you'll still see that name with various payment methods.
Right, but my question was, would it be on a one-time basis? Say you made, you went to church every Sunday, and so you'd have 52 one-time payments, roughly. Would those be in your history so that you would not have to do a recurring payment? And maybe I'm misusing recurring. I'm thinking of if you go in and sign up and say you want to donate $50 a week as a recurring payment, and then you just let it go and it charges your account or deducts ACH or whatever once a week. My point is, and that would create the history I presume you were talking about earlier, but making a one-time payment would seem to would create the same history. Should that not be in there as well?
I think, and if I could interject here, I think, the difference that Chelsea was talking about, if you go into Give Plus or the online giving, and when you go to give that first one-time payment, if you go ahead and put your information in there before you, so you set up the account, so to speak, before you make that one-time payment, then you will have that profile information, even if you just keep on making, or you'll have the ability to get your own history, regardless of whether you set up recurring donations or you just every single week go back in and do a one-time donation. You're still going to have your account history there. Is that right, Chelsea?
Yeah, that's the question I'm asking.
Yes. So for the account history from the church level, administration level, will always be there. From the individual level, they would need to have an account with creating having their email and creating a password for it to be tied to that account.
Right. So, but you don't have to do any more than that. It's just when you just don't check out as a guest. You go ahead and you put your name and your email information there, and that's what enables you to be able to go back and get your own history with not only your church, but even anybody else that you donate to who happens to use Vanco. You have your own history of your giving as long as you give your name and your email address when you go in to do the donation. Did you have any other questions, Rick, or was that it?
Yeah, well, I'm not sure that it got answered. You're asking the same question I am, Phyllis, but I'm not sure that we've had the answer from Chelsea, and that's a concern.
I asked her to confirm what I said to you, and she said, yes, that is the case. Okay,
so basically create an account. The second one, as far as filling out the application on behalf of the church, and I'm kind of asking on behalf of my treasurer because I don't see him in the list at the moment. I know he's on another Zoom meeting today. Can that application be downloaded, the PDF of it be downloaded and filled in? And I'm thinking particularly if it can be, then you can use Adobe Fill and Sign and create electronic signatures, and then can it then be uploaded to Vanco? Or can it only be done online on the screen?
Just online on the screen.
Okay. And there was a question, this is not for Chelsea, more for Canon Jones. There was a question I saw pop up but not answered as to who the person to sign that would be in the end. And the question asked, presumably the warden. I will let you work on that. But in the meanwhile, while I was listening, I pulled my details up. As you know, I'm the advisor to the vestry on constitutions and canons at St. Peter's for the Amboy, and I would posit that it would be the treasurer as per Diocesan Canon 16, Section 4, and Revised Statutes of New Jersey, Title 16, Chapter 12-6.
Well, actually,
I leave that to you.
It can, yeah. I mean, and I did actually answer it in the chat, but But what I said in the chat was similar to what you said, is that, you know, a lot of times it makes more sense because the question was about, is it the warden? You know, it can be the warden. We're not restricted. Whoever is an authorized signer, whoever is authorized by the vestry would be able to do that. However, I would highly recommend it be the treasurer rather than a warden, because treasurers don't turn over anywhere near as frequently, God willing, anywhere near as frequently as wardens do. So, you know, that would seem to make the most sense for me. But thank you for bringing that up again. I've got one more question that I can handle from Mark Chatton, who's got his hand raised, and we do have a hard stop after that. Chelsea's been really terrific about, you know, about answering all of our questions today. And Chelsea, while I'm doing this and unmuting Mark, maybe you would want to go ahead and put that contact information slide back up there one more time so folks can see if you do have follow-up questions, things that didn't get answered here, or even just to, you know, set up time if you feel as though you need, you know, more help with any particular aspect of this. Again, you can see that my contact information and Father Dave Snyder's are both there, as well as the contact information for Vanco Sales and for Teresa Saylor, who had originally set up this presentation. So I am going to go ahead and unmute you now, Mark, and please ask your question. Whoops, Mark? I'm not hearing Mark. Can you hear, Mark, are you there? Oh, I still, okay, I just tried unmuting you again. Can you hear me now? Okay, I guess I'm gonna have to have Mark maybe contact me offline for whatever question it was that he had. You know, and then also, Rick, I do see that you have your hand up again, but I am gonna have to take your question offline because I have a hard stop because we have another Zoom meeting starting in about 10 minutes or so. So again, I just want to, you know, thank you very much, Chelsea. It's been a pleasure having you with us today.
Thank you. Feel free to reach out with any questions and enjoy the rest of your day.
All right. Thank you very much. Blessings, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and please don't hesitate to reach out if you need anything.